Here are 10 historical figures who died from their own foolishness. 1. Aeschylus, 5th century BC. Aeschylus was the father of Greek tragedy, writer of great works like Oresteia, and a war veteran who fought at Marathon. In old age, he heard a prophecy that he would die from something falling from the sky. To avoid it, he chose to live outdoors in Sicily, far from houses. While sitting outside with his shiny bald head, an eagle mistook his head for a rock and dropped a tortoise to crack its shell. The tortoise landed right on his head and killed him. The man who wrote tragedies died from a silly tragedy he created himself by foolishly trying to avoid the prophecy. 2. Chrysippus, 3rd century BC. Chrysippus was the most productive Stoic philosopher in ancient Greece, who wrote hundreds of books about self-control and emotional calm. One day he saw a donkey eating his figs. In a relaxed mood, he said, "Give that donkey a glass of pure wine to wash down the figs." The joke sounded so funny to himself that he laughed uncontrollably. The laughter grew louder until it caused convulsions or a heart attack, and he died. The philosopher who taught emotional mastery died because he could not control his laughter at a simple joke he made. 3. Sigurd the Mighty, 9th century. Sigurd the Mighty was a feared Viking earl and conqueror of northern Scotland. After winning a battle, he beheaded his enemy and tied the head to his horse saddle as a trophy of pride. While riding home, the protruding teeth of the enemy scratched his leg. The small wound became infected, and Sigurd eventually died from that infection. He felt too great to throw away the trophy, yet the dead enemy head became the weapon that killed him. 4. King Adolf Frederick of Sweden, 18th century. Adolf Frederick was king of Sweden, who lived in palace luxury. On one great celebration day, he ate a super heavy meal, lobster, caviar, herring, sauerkraut, champagne, and finished with 14 servings of semla, sweet bread filled with cream soaked in hot milk. His body could not handle the burden of that food, and he died from stroke or heart failure. A king who had everything chose to die because he could not control his own appetite, so he is remembered as the king who ate himself to death. 5. Attila the Hun, 5th century. Attila the Hun, the feared conqueror of all Europe, killed millions on battlefields. On his wedding night with his young bride, he drank excessively until heavily drunk. While sleeping on his back, he suffered a severe nosebleed because he was too drunk. He did not wake up and eventually drowned in his own blood. The fiercest warrior of his time died not by enemy sword, but by being unable to control his drinking on a night that should have been happy. 6. King Alexander of Greece, 20th century. Alexander I became king of Greece in the modern era. While walking in the palace garden, his pet monkey bit him. The wound seemed small and trivial, so he considered it unimportant. Infection spread quickly into sepsis, and the young king died within 3 weeks. One small bite that was ignored changed the course of Greek history and caused a major defeat in the following war. 7. Jean-Baptiste Lully, 17th century. Jean-Baptiste Lully was a great composer of the Louis XIV era and father of French opera. While conducting an orchestra with great passion using a large conducting baton, he beat the floor to keep rhythm in his excitement. He accidentally stabbed his own foot with the end of the baton. The stab wound was not treated properly because he refused amputation for fear he could not dance again. The infection turned into gangrene and spread throughout his body. The music maestro, who controlled hundreds of musicians, perfectly died because he could not control his own baton. 8. Francis Bacon, 17th century. Francis Bacon was the father of modern scientific method, who taught the importance of experiments. One day in the middle of a snowstorm, he wanted to test whether snow could preserve meat. He bought a chicken, cleaned it, and stuffed it with snow by the roadside. The process made him severely cold and he caught pneumonia. A few days later, he died. The scientist who revolutionized scientific experiments died because of a foolish experiment without proper preparation in extreme weather. 9. Isadora Duncan, 19th to 20th century. Isadora Duncan was a pioneer of modern dance who symbolized freedom and expressive movement. One night in France, she rode in a convertible car while wearing a long flowing scarf that looked beautiful. The scarf got caught in the rear wheel of the car and wrapped around her neck, strangling her instantly. The artist who always emphasized freedom died because of a fashion accessory she chose herself without considering the danger in an open car. 10. Tycho Brahe, 16th to 17th century. Tycho Brahe was the greatest astronomer before the telescope, who spent his life mapping stars accurately. At a lavish party, he was too polite to leave the dinner table. Even though his bladder was already very full, he held his urine for hours. A few days later, his bladder burst, causing severe uremia and death. The genius scientist who understood the universe died because he was too polite at the dinner table, a small decision that should have been avoided.